why is your skin this colour? Before my daughter could even answer, because it was such a random question, he'd then say, is it because you roll around in the mud?
Yeah, with pigs.
With pigs, is that true? You play with pigs on the farm and everything. And the teacher was there at the same time and heard it, that I really was like the only black child, the only child of colour, and the only black child in that class.
It's all of a sudden, police car stops, pulls us over. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You can get shot for doing that. And yeah, I mean, wow.
Hey guys.
Hey.
It is
Sam.
You can tell we haven't done this in a while.
Yeah. Take 2.
It is
Sam
and Bibiana, and we're coming to you today with I want to call it like a couples conversation. Show bugs getting big. Getting big.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, let's get to the topic. So today we're going to be talking about our experience of racism and how we are teaching the kids.
Yeah, so it's from like a black kind of British perspective.
African.
Obviously African as well. I kind of moved over here from the age of like 9, 10. So my experiences are quite different from yours.
Because
you
came
moved
here
over
like primary school age. Starting primary school.
Yeah, a lot younger. So she's not like, it's like she's not like authentic like me and that. So like anyway. So yeah, we just want to share that. Obviously now is it's quite some serious stuff going on, and we feel very passionate about it because we've experienced it as well in different ways. So yeah, do you want to kind of kick off?
So I came to the UK just before I started primary school. So I'd done all my preschool and everything in Nigeria. And I guess my experience as far back as I remember is just coming to the UK and moving. We came straight to Scotland. Which wasn't the most racially diverse place you can go to when you first come to the UK, very different to your experience of coming to London. So I definitely experienced it very early on. Go from Nigeria, where we come with this, Nigerian Yoruba accent, and then go to Scotland, which is not even like a typical English accent. Had questions, why do you speak like that? Why is your accent like that? And then just really ignorant questions I get, which are you get often from children, but things have improved now. But back then it was just asking me if I lived in the jungle, asking me why my hair was like that, my skin color. And I remember coming home just feeling really upset and unsure of myself and my identity because of these comments coming from my peers who were literally in that age group of around 5 years old. I was literally the only black kid, not only in my class, like I want to say almost the whole school.
Or the whole country.
It felt that way. I know it wasn't the whole school, but it really was that extreme, that I really was like the only black child, the only child of colour, and the only black child in that class. And it made a difference to my upbringing in terms of just building a lot of resilience early on. I say that was my earliest memory of racism. And now as an adult, I've experienced it every way through. I went back into the working world and I started working in practice in like the village and they'd never seen like a black dentist before, and I was their first black dental associate hired. There's a lot of scenarios professionally when you've worked so hard for your degree and get into that world, and then people just are asking you, okay, where's the dentist? I'm like, I'm the dentist. And they turn to the nurse. Not there's anything wrong with being a nurse, and because my nurse is usually white, and they turn to my nurse straight away and they think that's the dentist. And then when they find out it's me, it's this kind of surprise, sometimes sometimes embarrassment, because they know it's wrong to have made that assumption. And unfortunately sometimes it's kind of like this look of, no, I don't believe you're a dentist, I don't believe you're a good dentist, when did you qualify, was it in this country? And I've had those kind of probing questions. And yes, I qualified in London, but I don't believe it should have made a difference where I qualified. But it's all those kind of questions that imply that, we say, like implicit bias against what you believe a black person should be able to do. And definitely heard similar stories of some of my friends who are in the medical profession as well, which is just horrific. And any other professional careers, many of you who are black has probably experienced. And it's just these kind of subtle. I would say, like I said, we're talking from the UK perspective. I think that's a word I'd use for the UK more than America. In my experience, it's just subtle, but it still hurts and it still makes you think, dang, are we not in the 21st century? Why is this still happening? I guess as a woman, I have, quote unquote, a bit more privilege than my husband in terms of the things he's experienced. But yeah, that's just like my own experience of racism. So I'll hand it over.
So for me, it was more, it wasn't so subtle. So like coming over to the UK, being a young Nigerian boy from the age of 9, 10, you know what Nigeria is like with discipline, with respect, all that kind of stuff. So I had a very clear idea of what is right and what is wrong and how to respect people. But then coming over to the UK,
sorry to interrupt, did you identify as being quote unquote black when you were in Nigeria? Did you even notice your skin color?
No. So like, yeah, in Nigeria, it wasn't an issue. There's only an issue when you do something wrong. There was never an issue with how you look. And I would say, you know, little stereotypes of how people are perceived, all that for me didn't exist in Nigeria, even up until the age till we moved over. I was not conscious of the fact that people profiled other people based on how they looked. That concept was foreign to me personally growing up. So there's actually a funny story. So when we came to school here, me and my brothers.
Where did you come to? Sorry.
East London. Shout out to all the East London crew. So me and my brothers were called the Time Bomb Brothers, right? Because every time we were in class, and in Nigeria, if you know something, you put your hand up, and when you speak, you stand up. So we'd always be in class, we want to answer something, hand up, and then we'd stand up. So everyone was like, why are these black kids standing up all the time?
Oh, because you did the same thing in the UK.
So is there like a time bomb on your chair that's about to explode? Why do you keep standing up every time you want to talk? It's like something's going to explode. So you're like, hand up, stand up. So we were called the Time Bomb Brothers. But I mean, things like that, those like subtle things, and the black jokes, laughing at us, making animal noises when...
This is East London.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's East London. So it was, the school was majority Asian and white. And we were experiencing things like that, you know. So, yeah, the animal jokes, go back to your country, black this, black that, black brother this. And I think for us, because we had a strong sense of self-esteem, just like I said, I did not perceive that you look different, you're judged on that. So for us, that wasn't so bad. But it was the idea of when I was getting older into my teenage years, I was then beginning to get racially profiled. So stop and search. You know, just walking around with your friends, stop and search. You know, what do you have on you? The way you're spoken to is a condescending tone. So that then started to change my view about, first of all, police, law enforcement, and also white people, because it was mostly, the police were mostly white. And just to correct this, I've had grace from white police officers, right, when I've done something wrong, okay, but the vast majority have been white police officers who have been very condescending, you know, who have been very rude. For some reason, you look like a criminal. Oh, there's been a stabbing in the area. You know, as I got older, I started to get more confident. I would ask, why am I being stopped? And then they would say there was an incident in the area.
Were they intimidated by you asking, or they found it? Were they annoyed, or? Yeah,
I think they were kind of surprised that I was confident enough to ask those kinds of questions. So my view of police officers, like a white police officer, is probably not a neutral because of growing up the way I was treated by some white police officers, the way I saw my black friends treated treated by white police officers. It was always the case that the black kids are about to cause trouble. The black kids have a weapon on them. You know, the black kids carrying bags, they must be searched. You know, and that started to...
How did that make you feel, being searched? Is it embarrassing? Do you just think, oh, it is what it is?
To be honest, I would be very angry about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, I'd be really upset. It kind of made me feel honestly unequal, because I never saw anyone else get searched. It was always a case of randomly you'd be stopped in a crowd and then you'd be searched. You'd never see, or I personally never saw anybody else who was like white, for instance, getting searched before me or after me. It was just a case of...
It was random.
Yeah, it was, oh, you know, this is a random search. Yes, I used to have that. This is a random search. You know, we're going to search. When I started driving, I would get stopped all the time. A black man of a certain age in a certain car, that kind of racial profile. And I was always very angry about it. But the way I was raised was that of respect. You know, respect for authority, respect for yourself. And when things like this happen, it would be worse if you almost succumbed to what they were consciously or unconsciously trying to achieve. You know, the black man is aggressive. You know, we knew, that's why we stopped you. The racial profiling worked. So for me, I then took it as a mission that I would always prove you wrong. So every time I was wrongly profiled, that I felt, I made it a mission to be more articulate, you know, to be more respectful, to engage in conversation with them, to show them that whatever profile made you stop me, or whatever profile made you act this way to me, is completely wrong. And I felt like that was my contribution to being black, because obviously, for whatever reason, they felt that you know, are not a peer equal to anybody else. You have a greater propensity to do wrong, commit a crime. And then, I mean, those were the bold ones, and then there are the subtle ones you get all the time. The way people speak to you. As a black man who's 6'4" and a bit, you can't walk in the evenings coming up to a white person.
You don't run past them.
Yeah,
you just know what you're doing.
Without their bag being clutched. You know, I almost have to let people know I'm there. You know, like whistle.
You say, black man coming.
Yeah. Or whistle or sing. You know, just to let the person feel comfortable. So many times I'm walking behind someone. If I change my cadence and it becomes quicker, you see them, you know, almost like, oh no, what's going on? You know, you can physically see the reaction. And, you know, that for me is subtly, well, not subtly, but it's something that hurts me deep down. It does hurt me deep down. And sometimes I tell myself, this is the world we live in. We all have prejudices, but it continues to hurt me. It still happens till today. There's a couple of examples we have. One on the underground where
this guy was struggling with his suitcase.
Yeah, a guy was struggling with a suitcase, a white guy was struggling with a suitcase, and we were like, I will help you with your suitcase. And then you recorded it.
Yeah, I think I was vlogging at the same time. Yeah. I didn't know, I was talking on the underground vlogging, and I didn't know when Sam approached this guy to say, I'll help you. And he did so quickly, so I just carried on vlogging from the back. And
then I saw the train coming, so I kind of was in a hurry.
You're faster than him.
Yeah, so I grabbed this heavy suitcase and I quickly ran down the stairs.
The guy was really struggling, like one step, two step, and yeah, my husband's quite strong.
So I thought I was doing him a favour by being quick so he can catch the train. I was just honestly trying to help this guy, but because you were recording it,
you actually know what just happened there.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, the guy was really grateful. I was like, are you sure? The guy was scared.
Yeah, he was so scared, and in the video he was like...
yeah, he said yeah at first, but not knowing Sam would actually do it, and not realising how quickly Sam could move with this suitcase. He grabbed it with one hand, and then when he heard the train coming, Sam started moving faster. It was like able to get through people quite fast, so the man could start move without his suitcase. It wasn't even like an old man. He was like in his 30s, but he just couldn't carry this. And so I saw the man, because I was filming from behind, and I just saw him like, he was looking at Sam the whole time. Then when Sam picked up speed, you just saw him turn, and he didn't know I was with Sam. and I just see the panic in his face.
Yeah.
And then he started picking up speed, and then when he saw Sam going, I don't know, I could see every reaction on his face. When he saw Sam stop, he was shocked, because he really thought Sam was about to just disappear.
To steal
and then
the
he
suitcase.
suddenly changed his face. He was like, oh, thank you so much. And I just thought, nah, I saw the way you were looking at my husband, like he was about to run away, like you was ready to like say stop, like call the police. But it happened so quickly. So when I showed Sam the footage, part of me felt bad showing it to you, but you were just so in your like, oh, I did the right thing. I was like, this is actually
what happened.
You scared me.
Yeah, and we tried to laugh it off, and it was just another case of somebody who's white being scared of what potentially a black person who looks like this could do with my possessions, you know. And yeah, we laughed it off, but that was something that hurt as well. And then there was the other thing back when we were dating, and I went to Chicago. Came over to Chicago with you.
I was in my dental elective there in my 3rd or 4th year or something.
Yeah.
And you came out.
And it was a surprise. It was so romantic. You were in Iowa.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hired a car, planned the Valentine's weekend in Chicago. So we're driving to Chicago, and it was at night, and we didn't even notice. All of a sudden, police car stops, pulls us over. Said, there's a rule about you have to leave a lane if you go past a police car, something like that. And so we're doing our best to cooperate. And
that's all they stopped you for.
Yeah.
The police car was, I don't know, I didn't understand it. So we weren't speeding or anything.
No,
it was just we didn't understand the rule that, what was it, when you go past this anybody else.
So if you see a police car,
might have changed.
If you see a police car, don't drive past it. Change lane, so there's a lane between you and the police car, or something when you drive past it. So yeah, we didn't know that. Anyway, we got pulled over, and he was like, "Show me your driving license." Or and I was like, "It's in my wallet." And then as I tried to move, all of a sudden I could see in my peripheral vision the police officer's like shuffling around.
I was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, and then I just froze.
By then Sam had already had his driving license.
Yeah, and then I froze, and this guy's shuffling around, and he was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You can get shot for doing that, okay? I didn't tell you to move. Like, why did you move?" And yeah, I mean, wow.
I mean, obviously we had British accents, so I think there was a bit of grace there as well.
I think that was probably what it was.
That's probably what helped.
That's probably what it was, you know, because when you read stuff about how black people get shot, completely unarmed, trying to pull out ID, you know, that is 100% true, because I have experienced that. It was just the grace of God, and probably being British, that saved us, because I could not understand why you'd be treated that way. And you know, that's part of my experience growing up with racism, and there's other things professionally as well. But every professional black person knows what it's like. Just the tone you're spoken to,
the assumptions.
Yeah. People not expecting you to know more than what you do, so you automatically get pigeonholed. And when you show them you know a bit more than that, it's almost a surprise. So yeah, things like that is hurtful. I do my best to put a brave face on it, and I think whenever we can as black people, we should change that perception. You know, whenever you're put in that position, make it your goal to prove that profile wrong, and that is the attitude that I take.
Yeah.
Today.
I think we shared our own experience quite at length of what we've been through, and now we want to share with you what we teach our children, including more cultural studies. Especially since we're Nigerian, we want to instill those values in them. More studies on race and identity as black people, black children, and obviously our faith, Christianity as well. We kind of just put that all together. My youngest in preschool has had his own little issues as well. I'll just brush on that quickly, which was when in preschool he was, you know, he's a boy, he was a good boy, but he can be a little bit, you know, energetic sometimes. And I was called in. He hadn't hurt anyone or anything, but they started asking me, questioning whether or not he could hear, questioning whether or not he had ADHD. I'm like, you're not even doctors, and you're already telling me you think my son has ADHD. He was literally, again, one of the only black children in the nursery, and I noticed him and another boy as well. I spoke to another mum. They'd had the same conversation with her, but not with the other mum. So that's another story about implicit bias, and it starts that young. And then my kid's school, Olivia was what, 4 or 5?
Yeah.
First year, 5. in her first year of primary school. And no, that was her second year technically.
Year
She's
one,
done reception,
yeah.
so that's year one. So she'd known this kid since reception, and the young boy in her class, white boy, it was just very random, like, why is your skin this colour?
Yeah.
Before my daughter could even answer, because it was such a random question, he'd then say, is it because you roll around in the mud?
Yeah, with pigs.
With pigs, is that true? You play with pigs on the farm and everything. And the teacher was there at the same time and heard it. She quickly hushed him up. And Olivia was a bit like, what? She was like, no. Like, it just caught her off guard. And because it was weird as well, because this is now her second year in the school, and this is really the first.
Yeah.
You know, there's always the subtle things, but it's the first time something so vocal has happened. I got a call from the school on my way to go and pick them up. And it's just like, hello, we've had an incident in school, but I want to let you know we're handling it. I appreciate the school's effort. There was a genuine remorse and upset that this had happened. There was a lot of praise on my daughter's behalf on when she gave her perspective on it, and she actually had a conversation with the boy as well, and still wanted to speak to him to tell him, you know, it's not right. I'm from Nigeria, my skin's this color, and you know, we were so proud of her. But as a mother, I literally was crying and had to clear my tears before I saw my daughter Olivia and had a word with her. It really shows the importance of raising confident children, because I was so impressed. But at the same time, I'm like, I still don't know what seeds were planted and probably still are there right now from that incident. But yeah, I don't believe children are born racist. I think, you know, definitely not. I mean, born into sin, but not racist. That boy has been with her since reception. So for him to suddenly have this perspective just made me think, you know, there's something the parents or someone around him is saying or has said, and there's still ignorance in that generation who's now passing it on to these young children who are going to grow up with my kids, be in the workforce, in the workplace, and still say this silly stuff to them. So I don't want to get too angry about it, but yeah.
and you know, that is the concern. That was a concern for us, because is that the first time he has seen a black person? No, it's not. He has followed her through 1 year of school, and the fact that surely that isn't the first time he has asked that, has been curious about that. So why aren't the people in his support system, his parents, his role models, why have they not explained that to him? So has that been a conscious thing or an unconscious thing where they haven't explained to their children about other races, and they've just left it to their children to accidentally say things like this? And our children still say, oh, sometimes I think they didn't play with me because of the color of my skin, you know, things like that. And growing up, that would perpetuate the feeling within young black children that for some reason they are inferior. You know, and for us, that is what we're trying our best to battle against. So, and
then you don't try in life, and then they say, oh, black people are achieving, but you do actually know a lot of times it's the systemic things, the things they've experienced as children, they've ingrained in them this idea of, well, there's no point in me trying, I'm not gonna achieve it anyway. We have, you know, not even being biased, even though they are our kids, we have very intelligent children, and to come out of their mouth sometimes doubting themselves, it pains me, because somehow they then develop this kind of inferiority. Obviously, we've worked hard and battled against it, but I feel like I have to constantly encourage them in who they are and their identity and everything. So it's this balance between raising children who are confident, black excellence, which we have to fuel inside them, because there's not enough of it in society. They're not seeing enough role models, but at the same time remind them, even if we know you're black, we know you're excellent, but at the same time, do not treat anybody else, white, Asian, brown, the way they look, the way their eyes look, different. You can't judge them differently or be prejudiced against them at all. And that's the video I'll link. That one was just gender equality. I think that's one anybody can watch, and it's important as parents we teach our kids that people are different and just be intentional. But what I want to speak a lot to, so I'm getting a bit passionate, to the non-black, the white parents out there who are watching this, the importance of having those conversations with your kids. If your kids see someone, they're like, oh, they're black, yes, hush them up for speaking that loud, but have a conversation at home with them.
Yeah.
Because they've opened up their eyes. It is not to say I don't see colour. We don't want kids or adults to say I don't see colour. That's actually insulting. So once you find out, you know, the same thing, you know, when your kids ask about the birds and the bees, we all do it differently, and that's another conversation for another day. But we know the consequences of just not having these hard conversations. And the thing about this one, you may think, unlike the birds and the bees, where it does affect you if your kids don't understand it properly, you might think, oh, if they're asking questions about black people, it doesn't affect me because we're not black. But you don't know, like what happened to my daughter, that parent who either brushed it under the carpet and left their kid to go and learn it from someone else, or an irresponsible person who's spoken to that child's life and told them that black people live on farms and their skin's that colour from mud, maybe meant it as a joke, or seriously, has now planted seed in that child, and that child is going to say it to my child. So, and that's when you have to understand white privilege, that even if it doesn't affect you, you still have a responsibility, moral responsibility, social responsibility, to make sure that it doesn't affect somebody else and someone else's child. You know, the goal in life is not to be non-racist. The goal is to be anti-racist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, studies have shown that better self-esteem, you know, helps children to have more positive outcomes. You know, black parents teaching your children about it.
Sorry, just up on the lights. Get a little bit dark. I've been talking for a while.
Now, while she's gone, where was I? Thinking of a master plan.
Oh, Lord. Give some 2
Ain't nothing
minutes
but
on
sweat
this
inside
end.
my head.
Walking around like a...
Ooh.
Oh gosh, that's so orange. Sorry, it's lighting.
Yeah, man, we're orange.
Good times.
We're orange.
Alright, we'll wrap up.
Yeah, so that's why we're so passionate about black parents with black children. You have to talk about racism because your children.
And white parents, every parent has to talk about racism.
And every parent has to talk about racism because your children observe it anyway. Okay, so it's not a case that they're too young to talk about racism. They will observe it, and if you don't teach them, they will form their worldview accidentally. You know, they'll form these ideas. They'll mix with friends who would lead them in the wrong direction, and they'll just perpetuate the ignorance, you know, amongst maybe white children, and then it will perpetuate this feeling of inferiority amongst black children. And there's no that's too young. Let's be honest, systemic racism is real, you know, and the system is made of people. And we feel like with intentional parenting about racism, we can help to remove that unconscious bias. And once that unconscious bias is removed, we feel it helps to kind of fight against systemic racism, and you know, and stop the kind of experiences that we all sadly have, you know, and what has led to this big movement at the moment, which we hope will be a tipping point for real change. So yeah, so thanks baby for your insight. It's great when we can both give our perspective as well. We hope that's been helpful. We do. And we'll see you. I'll let you finish. Go. I think I'm out of breath. I've been talking so much. We hope that's been helpful. Please don't forget to like, share and comment. Thanks, love. And subscribe. And subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. The community is growing. I'm so excited. Yeah. And I've got a lot on, guys. You know, babies. It's coming soon, and we're planning a lot of things right now. And I'm really going to try and stay intentional on the content. Doing my best. And when I have the energy. Thank you for your support, which means a lot. Yeah, to us. So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you in our next video. See you soon. Bye. Bye.